On this channel, we explore direct-to-consumer brands quite a bit. I love some of the direct-to-consumer irons that I have tried this year, but drivers is a different story. There are 3 today that we're gonna put into play and test out head-to-head that I really enjoy. But in general, direct-to-consumer drivers really struggle in the market. And I think there's 4 main reasons why that is. Today, we're looking at the Stix Compete driver, the Maltby KE4 TC Pro driver, and the Kirkland Signature driver that came out in the beginning of the year. These are my top 3 that I have tried, and I have tried a bunch. Now, on all of these drivers, I have 60-gram stiff shafts. However, each of these shafts is a little different, and that's because one of the main things with direct-to-consumer drivers is unfortunately you just don't have a ton of options. With the Kirkland Signature driver, for instance, you get the Riptide shaft and that's it. With the Stix, you get their Stix branded shaft, which is pretty nice, but maybe has some other concerns with it. And then with the Maltby, they sell it as a head only for you to install any shaft you want. Now you can do that with the others as well, but in general, direct-to-consumer brands just don't have as many options. That's one thing I think really hurts drivers in particular, because shafts make such a big difference when it comes to drivers, much more so than I think irons. With irons, if I have a stiff shaft, I can pretty much get along with it. And if it's a regular shaft, I could probably make a few adjustments to make it work. But that's not always the case with driver shafts. And I think that's the first reason these things struggle a little bit. Let me hit a couple shots here with the Maltby, and then we'll talk about reason number 2. Now, looking down at the Maltby driver, I love the teardrop shape. It looks very much to me like the Titleist TSR series, as well as the new GT series. Gloss black finish, very clean, very good looking driver from the top. Very good feeling driver as well. That was pretty well struck. And that one's gonna finish at 266. Of all the drivers, this is definitely one of the better feeling ones when it comes direct-to-consumer drivers this year. In terms of sound though, that's a different story. To me, very high-pitched, very loud. It's definitely not my favorite sounding driver, but with results like that, it's hard to argue with how it performs. That's a shot I've been hitting a lot more this summer. A little bit of a slight cut. Again, not losing a lot of power there. As you can see, 262 is a good number. I'm able to control that shot a little better. So really fantastic results. So why do direct-to-consumer drivers struggle? Well, let's talk about the second reason I think they struggle. I talked about how good that driver looked from the top, but if I were to turn it over, there's just a little bit of quality lacking, if I'm being honest. And I see this with all of the direct-to-consumer brands. They just don't have the same finishing technique, the same pizzazz as the big brands. The Stix one in particular is one that I really don't love, to be quite honest with you. I guess is most reminiscent of an older TaylorMade like M1, M2 series, that sort of thing. You've got carbon fiber, which to me is kind of old looking. And then in place of where the white would have been on the TaylorMade, you've got black here near the face as well. And the bottom of it pretty darn plain. The finishing overall just doesn't seem like it's as premium as the bigger names. And that's a big reason why I think direct-to-consumer brands are having trouble getting traction. Tell you what, that feels pretty good too. Not quite as long as we had with the Maltby. We'll see where the club head speed was. 102, so just maybe a mile per hour less or 2, but a great result, nice and straight, and it felt really good. Again, I do like the sound of this one a little bit better. That one I hit off the toe, but a pretty forgiving result. Look how straight it is. That's gonna hit a fairway, and distance-wise, is it our best one, 267? Club head speed again, a little lower than that Maltby. So very impressive results here with the Stix. But again, people look almost half as much at aesthetics as they do in performance. And if you don't feel confident looking down at what you're swinging, it's just another swing thought you don't want to have, to be quite honest. If I was going just by looks, I'd say the Kirkland Signature is probably the best looking one, the one that looks the closest to a premium driver. You do see a little bit of more carbon fiber look towards the back of this club. It's kind of a gradient, but turning it over, it does look a little cleaner overall. Still just not quite the same as some of the big names. Now the Kirkland Signature driver brings up another problem that I experienced earlier this year. It was hard to get, number one, because it was selling out online so quickly. But another major reason that direct-to-consumer brands struggle is because you don't have the chance to test them out. You're buying these things cold. You're not gonna walk into a Golf Galaxy, a PGA Tour Superstore, that sort of thing, and find one of these drivers to hit or test up against the others. And if you go to a club fitter, they're certainly not fitting you into a Kirkland Signature driver. So that's a major hurdle that a lot of these direct-to-consumer brands face. It's a hurdle that, at least in terms of irons, they've been able to get over a little bit. But in terms of drivers, they still struggle. And that's because there's one more, probably most important reason, which I'll tell you about after I hit the Kirkland Signature. Ooh, that was good. A little cut on that one. My swing speed may have been down just a touch. We'll find out. Yeah, looks like it, because that distance didn't go quite as far. Finished at 245. Well, 103, not too bad. So what was the difference there? Maybe smash factor. I'd say smash factor was a little low, 139, and spin 3,500, a little high. Again, this shaft, not fitted to me. This is the stock shaft that comes with this club, and it's the only one. Really nice one there. Look how straight that is. Oh, hit the line. That one rolled out to 260. I'll tell you what, I'd probably take 5 out of 6 of those, if not 6 out of 6. They're all in the fairway. That first Kirkland Signature just lagging behind distance-wise too much, but great results. So what is the problem? Well, the biggest problem I think these direct-to-consumer brands face is the fact that you can go back a year or two, buy a used club off the rack with a name that people can trust because they've heard it over and over. Names like TaylorMade, you can find a Sim 2 for the same price as one of these new, and it's a tough sell for the direct-to-consumer brands to go head-to-head against TaylorMade, even though the results are probably going to be very similar. Am I gonna walk into a store and pass up on a Ping G400 in place of the Stix Compete driver? It's really difficult for me, even though that Stix Compete driver is super forgiving, just like the G400. The G400 carries cachet, and that's the biggest problem that direct-to-consumer brands face, is the amount of used gear and inventory that's out there at approximately the same price. So what can be done? Well, we'll talk about that after we just quickly check the stats here. Now, obviously, these were only 2 strikes each. 143 smash, 141 smash, 141 smash, still a little lower, and I caught some of these shots dead middle, I thought. With the Maltby, my swing speed was 103, 101.7 with the Stix, and 102.6 with the Kirkland, so all within 2 miles per hour. But Maltby, definitely I was swinging a little bit faster there. When it comes to ball speed, 148.9 with the Maltby, 143 with the Stix, 144 with the Kirkland. Spin with the Maltby, 29.24, a little on the higher side. 26.74, I like that there with the Stix, although those two were so different, look at that. And then the Kirkland, 32.49, a little on the higher side as well. Probably would take the consistency of the Maltby over the other ones, but again, we're looking at 2 swings, no doubt. Peak height, 27, 32, and 36. So the Maltby flew lower, but still managed to fly further, 243 to 240 to 235, and the total 264 to 260 to 252. I think you can see there the Maltby, a very strong driver. The Stix, very good driver as well, and the Kirkland, all really tough competitors. So how can they compete? I think number one, they've got to improve the aesthetics of their equipment. It is just not up to par, and people look first visually before they even test, as we said. Number two, they're gonna have to invest in providing more shaft options. With irons, you can get away with it, but when it comes to a driver shaft, you can see my spin all over the place here because I'm playing 3 different shafts. There's too big of a disparity to only offer one shaft type. Now, certainly you can go out, do the work, buy a shaft, get it reshafted at a golf shop, and put anything on one of these heads that you want, but a lot of people aren't gonna take the time to do that, so they just need to have more options. It's gonna be really important for these brands to succeed in the future. And then number three, they're gonna have to come up with some sort of demo program for people to be able to try these clubs. Now, one brand in particular I think did a good job at this, and that's Sub 70, where you can literally order a demo club from Sub 70, they'll ship it to you with the return label, then you send it back. You know, don't quote me on this, and if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments, but I believe if you end up purchasing the clubs themselves, they refund the small fee that they charge you to demo the club in the first place. So I think that's a really good system, and I'd love to see see these direct-to-consumers do that here as well. What else do you think direct-to-consumer brands can do to get drivers in the hands of golfers like they have their irons? I would love to know down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button because we're looking at so many undervalued brands out on the market. This is the channel where you will see the lion's share of that. I'm all about saving you money and bringing you the best golf gear that maybe no one's ever heard about. I hope you enjoyed it. Catch you next time on another edition of Let's Play Through.